Hey, what's up, folks, and welcome to the 111th episode of Tones Takes. And tonight I wanted to talk about, Donald Trump is in the news again, and it's for a different reason. It's actually for a reason that I actually think is pretty good. Donald Trump is in the news because he's pardoning this boxer, this legendary boxer who I didn't really know, even existed. Jack Johnson is his name. He's considering a posthumous pardon of this guy because apparently, people haven't gotten it right in the past with laws and rules and things like that. But it's weird how it kind of came about. He was actually willing to pardon him because he got a phone call from Sylvester Stallone, of all people, and it just makes me wonder how many people have a direct line to Donald Trump right now. Because just to have Sylvester Stallone call up and say, hey, Trump, hey, Donald, hey, what are you doing about this? Hey, look, Sly, look, I'm going to pardon the man. He'll be free. I'm going to do it because no one else did. I'm going to accomplish everything. And black people will love me for it. And I'll get voted again. Oh, okay, well, that's a good thing. Let me stop making fun of these guys. But yeah, so Trump got this call from Sly, and he tweeted today. He says, Sylvester Stallone called me with the story of boxing heavyweight champion Jack Johnson. His trials and tribulations were great, and his life complex and controversial. Others have looked at this over the years. Most thought it would be done, but yes, I am considering, and that's important to know. He says considering still a full pardon. So I guess Sylvester Stallone, great for you. Now I had to research exactly who this Jack Johnson guy was. Most famously, his story was fictionalized for the play The Great White Hope, starring James Earl Jones, which won a Pulitzer Prize. Which I guess anyone can win one after Kendrick Lamar just won one. But it was also, it won a Tony Award for Best Play back in 1969. I mean, there's been so much actually written about this guy. I'm surprised that I really didn't know about everything that he's done. All I know about is like George Foreman and Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield in terms of black boxers. I never knew about Jack Johnson, so you'll have to forgive me. Please do not revoke my black card for this. But yeah, so more recently there was a documentary called Unforgivable Blackness: The Rise and Fall of Jack Johnson, as well, which was directed by Ken Burns and aired on PBS in 2004. So yeah, a whole lot of things about this guy. Now, why is he being pardoned? Well, for this reason, for taking a white woman across state lines. Yes, Johnson was convicted in 1913 for violating the Mann Act. Mann. It was also called the White Slave Traffic Act, and it was named after Representative James Mann, who was a Republican from Illinois at the time. It was signed into law by President Taft. He was the really, really big fat guy that couldn't fit into his own bathtub. It was made, basically, this act made it a crime to transport women across state lines for the purpose of prostitution or debauchery or any other immoral purpose. So again, this was a time like the Industrial Revolution was just getting kicked off. Women were able to be more empowered. So they were able to write notes and love letters, and dating really became more commonplace. And they would leave one state and go to another state or big city to meet these men and fall in love and do all these things. So it was basically saying, no, this is illegal. You can't take women across state lines, and especially for a black man to take a white woman, which is what Jack Johnson did across state lines. It was considered immoral. So the law has been applied not just to Jack Johnson, but to people such as Charlie Chaplin, Frank Lloyd Wright, Chuck Berry. So the list goes on in terms of people, or mainly men, who this law has been applied to. And it was actually going to be applied to Elliot Spitzer as well a few years ago, if you don't remember things that he was involved in as the governor of New York. Was he the governor? Whatever his position was, senator, whatever, for the things that he was doing as well. So the Mann Act has been around for a while. It's actually still around, and it's a very obscure law, but it basically says, hey, you can't take, and I don't know if it just applies to white women anymore or women of any race or humans of any race, or whatever, creed, color, whatever. But it basically says you cannot take people across state lines for the purpose of prostitution or anything that we deem to be immoral. So Johnson got convicted of this within 2 hours of being put on trial. His jury was all white, so it wasn't even a jury of his peers. This was like deep Jim Crow era type stuff. And so he basically got convicted and he was sentenced to jail for an entire year. So now we come around to this. Apparently, people have been fighting for him. His family's been fighting for him because they feel like, for all the great things that he did for being the first black, African-American boxing champion, for really opening up the realm for blacks to be in the sport of boxing, for all the great things that he's done, to have this one thing against his record and really stain and tarnish his reputation and his legacy just hasn't been good. And the family, since he was jailed back then and since then, felt like they had to pretty much live with this same tarnish, this stain on his record, which really shouldn't have been there. So apparently, of all people, not Donald Trump, but John McCain, who was a big boxing fan, has been fighting for this guy, and they've been pushing a resolution in Congress and with other congressmen and women to do this posthumous pardon, and it's been approved by both the Senate and the House, going way back to like the 105th Congress, I believe, or something like that, or 111th to the 114th Congress. So this was like years and years in the making where it's been approved. George Bush has been president. Barack Obama has been president. Why has he not been pardoned yet is really the question that I have on my mind for a rule or a law, which, yes, at the time there may have been some real reason, whether it be kidnappings. I mean, right now we talk about how we can't, you can't take children across, a state border, or people across. There's different reasons why things are illegal at the time. And yes, I understand that, maybe at this time, at this moment, people really needed this law, but we've gotten so far past that. And so I'm just wondering why it's taken so long for Jack Johnson to be basically pardoned. But I'm glad that it might happen. We'll see what Donald Trump actually decides to do with this. But let me know what you think. Should Jack Johnson get this pardon? Should Trump go ahead and give the okay and finally pardon this guy? Or should Jack Johnson remain with this stain on his record because technically he did something that was against the law at the time? Let me know what your thoughts are. And that's all I've got for today. I will see you all tomorrow. Thanks for listening. Peace out. Play my music, please. Thank you. There we go. I'm out. Peace. Yeah.